Why is it that China's Su-30, which also originated from Russia's Sukhoi Design Bureau, has given birth to the top J-16, God of War, while India's Su-30MKI has become a mountain of flying coffins? Behind this is far from a simple difference in equipment, but a profound difference about the country's industrial strength and strategic vision. When Russia delivered Su-27 fighters to China in the 1990s, several transport planes were used to transport tons of drawings and materials, and these blueprints, which smelled of ink, became the introductory teaching materials for China's aviation industry. In the workshop of Shenyang Aircraft Manufacturing Plant, Chinese engineers not only perfectly reproduced the localized J-11A, but also broke through the technical blockade in just a few years, and launched the comprehensively upgraded J-11B in 1999. It replaced the Russian-made parts with a domestically produced composite fuselage, and the avionics system was even iterated in leaps and bounds. This ability to digest, absorb and re-innovate so shocked Moscow that when China introduced the Su-35 in 2014, the Russians were wary of the copy must pay a sky-high price, but China has long since ceased to rely on it. 24 Su-35 has not yet been delivered, and the J-16, which is fully independently designed, has already risen into the air. The birth of the J-16 marked a complete transformation of China's aviation industry. It retains the classic Sukhoi family's central lifting body aerodynamic layout, but implants a Chinese core inside. The detection range and multi-targeting capability of the domestically produced active, phased array radar crushes that of the Russian N-035, Snow Leopard. The detection range and multi-targeting capability of the domestically produced phased array radar, PAR, is superior to that of the Russian-made N-035, Snow Leopard, and the surging power of the Tai-Hong engine puts the L-31 series to shame. More critical is the evolution of the combat concept. It can carry 12 tons of ammunition, in the form of air bomb trucks, PL-15 over-the-horizon missiles, and PL-10 fighting bombs constitute an integrated offensive and defensive weapons network, while the advanced tactical data chain makes it a loyal wingman of the J-20 stealth fighters. The advanced tactical data chain makes it the loyal wingman of the J-20 stealth fighter. When the US military fan forums appeared, the best sidekick in China, exclamation. The Russian military-industrial complex finally realized the Oriental student has completely surpassed the teacher. Hindustan Aeronautics Maintenance Workshop, Su-30MKI wreckage, and to be repaired airframes piled up. Mechanics face complex L-31FP vectoring engine frown. These once symbolized the technological leadership of the nozzle, has become a black hole devouring the combat readiness rate. These nozzles, which once symbolized technological leadership, have now become a black hole that eats away at operational readiness. The IAF Su-30MKI fleet, on the other hand, is caught in a breathtaking death spiral. The joy of the first 50 arrivals in 1996 has long since faded, and the world's fourth largest fleet of 272 Sukhoi now has a backlog of 230 units awaiting repair. On the tarmac of the Nazik plant, faded skinned airframes line up in desperate rows, waiting for overhaul capacity of just 12 per year. At this rate, it will take 19 years to fix them all, and a new batch of fighters will age while they wait. More ironically, the root cause of these fighters' ailments stems from the cutting-edge technology that Russia generously transferred to them, the L-31FP vectoring engine, which was meant to be a test case for the Russians to validate the technology, has a defective bearing that has led to metal shavings mixing with the lubricating oil circuit, causing 35% of the airborne stopping accidents. When India's Defence Minister Parkar admitted in Parliament that only 55% of the fighters are usable, he may be regretting that he rejected the advice of his Chinese counterpart. Simplifying logistics is the basis for survival on the battlefield. The noose of technological dependence is tightening. After the outbreak of the war in Ukraine, the Russian military-industrial system prioritizes the protection of its own troops, and technical support for India has come to a complete standstill. Hindustan Aeronautics tried to overhaul itself, but exposed the fatal shortcomings of the industrial base, the lack of precision bearings manufacturing process, avionics system reverse engineering failure, and even the strength of rivets cannot meet the original standard. The shadow of history loomed over the workshop. The MiG-21, assembled by the company, had a crash rate of 75%. With 490 of 657 turning into fireballs and claiming the lives of 170 pilots. When the Su-30MKI was sent to the same Widowmaker repair line, The black humor circulating in the front line squadrons was spine-tingling. The number could go from 230 to 231 after overhaul. The extra ones will be made up from spare parts. The spare parts are cobbled together. Russia's strategic calculations about China and India are like a magic mirror into the future. When China attacked J-11 localization, the Kremlin quickly tightened the technology export. Su-30 sales refused to accompany the production line, but to India, they are enthusiastically promoting Su-30MKI, full set of localization, and even signed the Su-57 India assembly agreement in 2025. Behind this contrast is a shrewd assessment. Russia concluded that India would never be able to get rid of its dependence on Russian-made core components, and it did, with 140 Su-30MKIs assembled in India, with 100% of the engines and radars supplied by Moscow. When Putin handed over the keys to the Su-570 to New Delhi, the smile at the corner of his mouth hit a double calculation, not only to earn India's $7 billion order, but also to use technology transfer to tie up this major military purchaser, and more India's hand to hold China and the United States. The Western world to India's military ambitions are also full of contradictions. The United States would like to export F-414 engine to support India's own research 5th-generation aircraft, but the introduction of Su-57 triggered an urgent review of the Pentagon. They are afraid of US and Russian technology in the Indian workshop, hybridization, leading to the leakage of secrets. The French Rafale has been delivered, but its limited number is difficult to be the main force. As for the F-35, the geopolitical reality is as cold as iron. The United States is unlikely to arm a potential rival who may control the Indian Ocean in the future. The Indian Air Force's 2027 Stealth Wing program seems ambitious. In the Rajasthan Desert, the northeastern border and the Lehigh Plateau deployment of Su-57 Wing. But when the first batch of fighters, stationed at an altitude of 3,200 meters of the Lehigh base, China's Western Theater of Operations of the J-20, has completed the deployment of the plateau, the chasm of technological generation difference cannot be filled by geographical advantage. On both sides of the Himalayas, two very different roads to military strength are extending into the future. The rise of China's aviation industry code, hidden in the Shenyang Aircraft Design Institute, lights all night in the pile of drawings. When the WS-10 engine blade breakthrough single crystal casting technology, when the J-16 active, phased array radar to lock 400 kilometers away from the target, independent innovation, has been fused from the slogan for steel wings. India's Bangalore factory engineers are still worried about Al-31FP engine oil blockage. Russia provides hot-end technology, like sugar-coated package of chronic poison, so that India's aviation industry and the local assembly, in the illusion of the dream of sinking. History has repeatedly verified the truth. You can't buy defense modernization, just as you can't buy the dignity of a great nation. When the J-16 formation cruising the South China Sea news appeared in the headlines, New Delhi's policymakers may be to reread the lessons of 1962. The real victory or defeat never depends on the length of the list of arms imports, but rather in a nation can water their own industrial tree with wisdom and sweat. Hindustan Aeronautics maintenance shed in the 230 Su-30MKI waiting for the fate of the most cruel footnote in this era. No independent industrial spine. The sharpest weapons will eventually rust into scrap metal.